Good afternoon. This is Veterans Talk. It ain't nothing but a thing, but it's a thing we want you tuned into every Saturday afternoon. I'm Elsa McGee, your host, and here again today I'm with my favorite veterans in the city of Atlanta, my sidekick and keeper, Tony. How you doing, brother? And then my special veteran that keep us straight, Tish. How you doing?
Hey, how are you?
It's good. It's good. It's good. It's Saturday. It's Saturday again, and this Saturday we have. We want to start out by reminding people now, getting these claims straightened out is more important than ever before. I've just went through the claim process, and I want to tell you that 90-day thing works. I started in March, and on the 16th of June, I had money in the bank. Wasn't that much money, but it was a sign that they got it finished. You know, so we want to focus you today on the elements of a claim. We got to get the elements. Tony, you're
okay.
The elements of a claim, I think what he wants you to do is pull that up. Yeah. The elements of a claim is so critical, you know, I mean, to the filing of your paperwork. I mean, you know, if you don't do it right, you ain't gonna have time to get it right in the process now, because the VA is on automation. I love it, really. I really love it because, I started doing this in 1975, and I have seen so many veterans die. Just literally expire before their claim was finished in the process. Now, it got me to thinking about William Sewell. You know, I want to salute his family, who passed in March this year with his claim still pending. Had been in the process for years. And, you know, now I want to reach out to his daughter to make sure that she know the claim was filed. You know, it was filed. And one of the things that happen when a claim is filed and the recipient dies, if it wins, it goes to his estate. So we want to make sure that our veterans know all of their rights, that they need to know about the benefits that we were supposed to be bringing home from the military service, because some of it ain't coming home to you.
Right.
You know, we ain't getting it because the claim process has been so complicated. Now, don't get me wrong, they done throw some more complications in there with this decision review process kicking in and leaving the legacy system still sitting there with over 300,000 cases in backlog. Lord help us, I need to pray. I need to pray, because listen, we got to talk to Senator Warnock and Ossoff and Nikita Williams about this claim process and some of the things that need to be amended to it. And we ain't talking about after November. We talking about November. We talking today about veterans' votes matter. You know, we got to make it matter, because if we don't make it matter, this thing that's been slipping away from us ever since we got home from military service gonna continue to slip away from us, because we got businessmen and business folks in the process now that looking at the bottom line when they should be looking at the commitment. You know, they're looking at the bottom line. They want to know how much it's gonna cost. You know, but that's another issue that we're gonna talk about when we start talking about the veteran votes matter. They really matter, because, see, I'm going to tell you something. Been doing some research on how we vote. We vote in the high 90s. We go to the polls no matter what. The veteran vote is almost assured, right? If you're not homeless and in jail, you vote. I'm talking about in the high 90s, but you know what? Unfortunately, we are politics driven with our vote, and our party is standing up for veteran benefits. You know, I mean, they say that, they give you a lot of lip service, thank you for your service, but then deny your claims.
Right.
You know, make it so difficult. I had a young man calling me this weekend, I mean, a couple of days ago. His family, his daughter called, and I hope they're listening to the program today. You know, they put him on a pension when he should be on compensation. Kenny, that sounds like something you know about. You know, they'll do anything they can to shortchange us. I mean, us. They want to get, you know, sometimes I think I'm not in the process, and I went through that for a long time because I got my service connection back in the 80s. So kind of riding high, you know, not realizing that it took me 16 calendar years to get it. I was wounded in 1968, and they recognized in 1968 I was wounded. In 1984, they finally recognized it. You know, that was a long time after service, and we got too much of that. Why? We come out of the military not knowing which way to go.
That's a fact.
Which way to go? Fact. We're coming out of a very controlled environment, right? Now, I didn't think about this, Tisha, and I want you to talk about this because, see, you probably bring a different perspective to the table. I was 20 when I went in the military, so I was one of the older guys, right? I got some experience up under my belt that I didn't know what I was doing. I was married, I had a baby. So I went into the military because I saw that as a stepping stone. You know, I didn't got myself into a situation where I knew I wasn't going to be able to afford to go to college then, and I got responsibility. So the draft is appearing, and you know what I'm saying? I'm looking at the benefit side. That's my all aspiration. Everybody in my family knew I wanted to be a lawyer, right? They say, well, he's going to be a lawyer, you know, because, you know, I'm doing my stuff and getting to school and everything. But, you know, didn't have a lot of education about relationships, which we talked about a little bit already. But we're gonna get your opinion on that because it's something that we got to talk about now because of Roe versus Wade. You know, we need to re-educate our community how to deal with these oppressive laws. You know, I mean, some of them, when you sit back, they kind of make a little sense. But when you start tampering with individual constitutional rights, that's a big problem with me. You know, because I see how we got people in politics today that'll take an oath of office and go in the office and don't do it. They just took it. They just took it to go get the seat. When they get in there, they're controlled by party politics. They even gonna do what the Democrats party elite say or the Republican Party elite. They didn't forgot that they was elected to represent us on a local level. You know, so we got some. I want you to talk about going into the military for a minute from the female perspective because, you know, you guys might have had some different perspectives, you know. I mean, all of us believe that it was a stepping stone.
Right, we as I did too, yes. Yeah. Which is why I joined the military at 16, and my parents signed for me, and like you, I thought it was a stepping stone, right? And I know I wanted to get out of my hood. I know I wanted to get out of my parents' house. You talk about restrictive and oppressive. Yeah. I was trying to get up under their regime, and, you know, thought it was a good idea, but I didn't really know the effects or thought about the long-term effects it would have. And, you know, there's pros and cons to it. You know, I was able to travel a lot as a young lady, but upon coming home, you know, it was a lot of challenges psychologically, you know, being going to war 2 times, and psychologically, even when you come home, like transitioning, and where do you go to live? Where do you go for jobs? If jobs are not transferable into civilian jobs, which I wasn't. I was a dental assistant, and they weren't transferable skills to the civilian life. They wanted me to go to school all over again and pay all this money.
Let me say this here. They didn't tell you they was transferable. Because dental now is a big business in our community, right? So I just wanted to make sure that we get it in context, because a lot of us coming out of the military right now, young people coming out of the military, done acquire some skills in the military that nobody telling them they're transferable. Right. So you go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's quite all right, because it's happening, you know, and it's out there. But I had a question for you, right, when it comes to the claims, because the veterans that I have encountered, they're having a hard time documenting those invisible wounds, you know, when it comes to psychological issues. Like, how do you document that for your claims, right? Well, so, you know, if you've had a traumatic experience in your active duty career, how do you translate that on paper for them to approve that you know, are worthy of this disability claim?
Okay, that's a good question, because it's done for you.
Okay.
It's really done for you. One of the reasons I couldn't get a disability when I first came out of the military, I was diagnosed on the battlefield with combat fatigue, right? That is a breakdown from structure.
Yeah.
You know, you don't stop following orders. You kind of got away from that regimentation into your own mental mindset. I have been wounded, so now I'm traumatized to the point that I'm paranoid, and I think that I gotta defend myself totally by myself. So I became almost a one-man kind of active problem in the field. Now I'm infantry, so I'm a one-man active problem in the infantry because I'm jumping up, I'm doing stuff that could put other combatants in danger, right? Because they got to cover my back. We covering each other back. But I done reached a point where I got to get the enemy before he get me, and not considering the training and the camaraderie that you have to have in combat. So the mental problems that we bring home has to be codified by Congress. See, that's why I'm talking about veterans' votes matter. Everything we get, you know, Maynard put it out like this: politics is all about the control and distribution of wealth. And when he talk about that, he's not just talking about the taxes, he's also talking about law enforcement, right? Because we elect these people that operate our government, and we pledge allegiance to the flag, right? We believe that it's going to be liberty and justice for all. But when you got people elected or appointed and employed in government, they bring their biases too. They bring their biases too. And if you don't have a code that blocks those biases out in their decision making, you're gonna have some bad decisions made. You know, that's why you got people on death row that ain't did nothing. You know, you got police that can catch a mass shooter and arrest him, but take a driver that's breaking a traffic law and put
70 shots in him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really.
Ooh. This is veterans talk. It ain't nothing but a thing, but it's our thing. You know, it's our way of getting this message out, getting this conversation in our community. Because what you are saying, if it's not, if you don't know it's codified, right? You don't know what it is. You know your loved ones.
Right.
You know that. Listen, my mama started telling me the next day after I got home, but Elsa, you need to go to the VA. Something wrong. I'm back in one piece. I'm macho. I made it through the war. I'm a paratrooper. Ain't nothing wrong with me. I'm shell shocked. I have been traumatized, and the conduct is seen by your loved ones. This is not something that you normally do, just act out like that. I'm low crawling and fighting in my sleep. My mama ain't never seen me get out of the bed and low crawl in her house. You know, so she, you know, no, this ain't what I gave them.
Yeah.
You know, family got to be educated. Yeah. They have to recognize that, okay, my loved one is going through something that ain't none of them. And I'm not going to just turn my head and say, okay, maybe tomorrow he'll be better.
Right.
My mama didn't get on tomorrow. She was in my face. She was in my face the next day. Now, I had some other stuff that kind of gave her some preview or something was wrong, because when I got home, she just grabbed me up and she wanted me, my mom was a small lady, she wanted me to sit in her lap. Now, okay, I'm gonna give you what you want. I'm glad to be back too. So now I got some war souvenirs, right? You know, during my time, it was very popular to put your keys around your neck. Teeth, ears that you taking off bodies. You know what I'm talking about, teeth. You can see it. I got them around my neck, right? So my mom hugging me and pulling on me, and she see that. You know, all of a sudden now she don't want me in her lap no more. Within a few seconds, seeing this strange stuff on her son. I'm her only son now. You got to understand. So I'm her baby to the day she transitioned. So she was always on me by being the best I could be. That was all. That's what every mother wants. She wants the best that her child can be. So my mom was no different, but you know, she was kind of cut like this. She gonna tell you what she see. She saw something different in me. So now she's concerned, but she don't know where to go. Ain't nobody telling this family that their child been wounded in combat and traumatized. I was 21, turned 21 in the foxhole in Vietnam. I wasn't mature enough to understand the grasp of being truthful about my perspective now. You know, I'm paranoid, everybody, I'm jumping, I don't want nobody behind me. You know, I got issues that is, you know, the wounds, I had a few physical wounds, but they was not, you know, decapitating wounds. They wasn't kind of wounds I had seen other people get. I've seen people with their head cut off. You know, so I got away. So I'm macho. I ain't finna tell Mom, ain't nothing wrong with me. You got to get your loved ones to a mental evaluation right away. And if they don't want to cooperate, call the VA hotline. That's what it's there for. Call the VA hotline and tell them that your loved one, listen, 15 days after I was home from Vietnam, I had the SWAT team from the city of Atlanta and Fulton County at my house. Because I done went off. I went complete off. I went to they took me to a padded cell in Fulton County Jail. The MPs came, got me the next day. See, a lot of people don't know this. When at a time of war, you can't really arrest a veteran, active duty military personnel, not during a time of war, unless you done seen them commit a real crime. I had committed a crime. I got my shotgun. I scattered everybody in my house, and they had to go.
Oh my gosh!
Listen. I'm responding to trauma. I'm saying it in a comical way because I want you to get the picture. What your loved one can bring home from combat situation. You know, and then on top of all of that stuff, we have the rejection of the community. Right. You know, and during the Vietnam era, that was an open rejection. Now there is a sort of quiet rejection. You know, they were you should have stayed where you was. You know, because you come back different. You bringing things back in the household that they haven't probably seen. You're the authoritarian now. You know, so you know you got to understand that these mental issues are more harmful to the community and the family than the physical ones. Do your research. Look at veterans committed crimes during the Vietnam era. Some of them came home and killed their family. You know, so PTSD was not even in consideration. You know, so there was no outreach, and you know the outreach now ain't all that great, but it's better than none. And then we got the military doing some intervention as well. Now, how good is this intervention? We got 22 veterans committing suicide every day, so I don't know. I can't say that intervention is well enough for me and people like us, because we're out in the community every day trying to help veterans, and we got a lot of other groups like the VFW, the American Legion, and then you know, we got a lot of sister groups out there now trying to interact with their peers or their colleagues when they're coming back into the community, because they know they're gonna have some issues. You know, and they're trying to cushion that transition, and they need help. You know, and Tony, you know that because me and you've been lobbying like crazy. You know, me and Tony been down there in Rob Pitts and Marvin Arrington's office, and we got them to respond. You know, they responded. So I salute Rob Pitts, I salute Arrington, and because they got the rest of the Fulton County Commission to respond, and they came up with some help for veteran service programs in Fulton County. Now I think that, you know that, Tish. You know, I think it was a beautiful gesture, but the implementation of it is a farce, a joke. You know, so we have to make sure that we talking to Marvin Arrington and talking to Pitts and the rest of that Fulton County Commission and let them know, bro, man, veterans ain't slow. No, don't do this no more. Next year we got an opportunity to do it again. You know, so we're gonna sit down. We're gonna have a sit down with Pitts and all the because we got some people on that empowerment committee that act like they told me they like Margaret Green tells some stuff like this wild stuff that they doing in politics. that's separating our community. I think that has a Russian influence. I'm gonna just say what it is, because we got too many politicians in government today that's directing division. They directing division in our community. When I was in the military, I thought that when you was elected, and I'm gonna say something about that. You served all the people. I can remember writing Herman Talmadge, and he responded to me. I don't know whether he was a Democrat or a Republican. I wrote people, and my mom wrote people. They responded to her, because at that time the politicians at least acted like they was representing all the people, no matter how they voted. Now we got people that talk about their base. This is my base. I got to cater to my base at different parts of the community. Politics is a negotiable instrument. It should be. We're a diverse society. We're coming out of diverse communities. Everybody's problem is not the same. And those that are the same, you can't respond to them the same way because of culture and racial developments within their own households. Just for example, here's a young man that just went on Independence Day, shot up a bunch of folks, and his daddy got him a gun. But he was having mental issues before they got the gun. So when you talk about mental issues, they come from every which way in our society, in our community, and we don't want to admit it. We don't want to. It was not until I confessed that, hey, listen, I got a problem. I do need some help, right? I was able to start getting some help.
Nice.
It was not until then. That didn't happen overnight with me. Because my record show it was a tough road. But by the grace of God, I made it. So that's why I'm here as a witness that we got to do something for young people coming out of the military today. And we know we got to do something because when I was coming out, 22 veterans wasn't committing suicide every day. So that should tell us something that we need to stop. Wait a minute, 22 veterans. That's 22 families in crisis in our community, and the government is giving lip service to that. This is Veterans Talk. It ain't nothing but a thing. Tony, I'm gonna get out the way for a minute. Let you talk about the project for a minute, then we'll.
Before we talk about the project, on the subject you're talking about, one of the things that we are planning to do is setting up in libraries, community centers, where ways of helping veterans get their benefits. But one of the other things that we, just hearing you talk, we need to talk to these veterans before they go into the military, so they will know what they can expect. What they're guaranteed. If they know this kind of stuff, then they will be aware of their rights and everything. When we went in the military, we had no idea. We had rights.
No idea.
We did no idea. We were just going to the military. But now we can tell them, you have rights. You have benefits that you're going to gain. And so as a result, you need to be aware of what you can and can't do.
And on that say, let me just say this. Let me just stop for a minute. Let me salute all them young folks out there that's in the military today, because I got a grandson that Sergeant Freeman Harris. Okay, I gave him my Purple Heart because he don't need now. He don't need to get one. So he can try to get an MOS other than that, because there's a lot of good things in the military.
And it is. There are a lot of great benefits from the military, but if you don't know about these things, then you won't be expecting them once you serve your time and get out. And I can admit that when I went in, I was totally unaware of all of the benefits. I knew you had benefits, but didn't know what those benefits were and what was required just to obtain those benefits.
And I'm gonna say something, Tony, to you. Now, fortunately, I don't know whether you volunteered to go into the Air Force or not, or whether you volunteered.
I did volunteer.
Well, see, that was probably one of the smartest moves you could have made during that time period, because it's the Air Force and the Navy that you're gonna get most transferable skills. I mean, I'm not. Don't get me. No, I'm not knocking the Army now and the Marines, because they got some areas that can. But we are combat. We are more designed for combat and rescue. stuff.
Yeah.
You know, that's what we're designed for. But in the Navy and the Air Force, you get to fly planes and boats and ships. And you know what?
Yeah.
Transportation is the most costly part of society today. And it's one of the highest paying jobs in this too.
Right,
you know, so we want to be able to push our kids and our young folks into these areas where income inequity is not so glaring.
Right.
You know, because in the lower parts of the industry, when you start looking at how the work world is developed, even though now I cry this all the time because I got a lot of teachers in my family. Teachers should be paid at the top scale, but they're not. You know, they're not. They should be. I think teachers should be way up the economic income ladder because of what they do and how important they are to the development of humanity.
Yes.
You know, if we don't have education, it is the education system of America that has caused this country to develop fast as it has.
Where it is, yes.
And it's going to continue to develop. I hope they get something to do with this climate change, though, because there ain't going to be nothing to develop in a minute if they don't start doing something, because it's so hot.
Yeah.
And it ain't that ain't natural. That's not natural.
Yeah.
It's really not a natural way when you start seeing glaciers melt.
Right.
In parts of the world that God made glaciers.
Yeah.
We done fixed it. We want conveniences. We got to make cars every year. You know, we got to have new cars now, and then we're gonna talk about some of this stuff. They talking about inflation. The government need to do something about inflation. The government don't cause inflation. You know, I don't know who put that in there in people's thinking. Businesses cause inflation. They are the only one that can put a cost on their goods and services. Business. And I'm gonna tell you how we can stop inflation in its track today. Let's all go on a fast. Don't buy nothing. Don't go to the store. Don't buy absolutely nothing.
Watch what happens.
All the prices gonna drop like a bucket.
Yeah.
We got to stop letting these politicians mislead us and take away the power of our vote. You know, we got to be able to understand that this country started off as a government for the people and by the people. Now I know that some of us wasn't even considered whole people back then, but this same Constitution though, this same Constitution gave us the power to come up, gave us the authority to come up. So that's why I like the Constitution. You know, what happens though, as we came up, you know, those people that was in power got afraid and they started trying to manipulate the government and manipulate our thinking in a way that we are not using the full impact of our votes. We're not vetting the people we vote for. We let the media tell us who to vote for, or we let the parties tell us who to vote for. These people that we're voting for don't ever come in our community and stand up and be talked to
until election time.
Until election time. So we need to be veterans more than any other people in the community today. The veterans and our dependents, because whether you realize it or not, government is determining the benefits we get every day. You know, either by the elected, not just like you got all these bills in Congress right now about Agent Orange and Camp Lejeune and all the contamination that our young people are being exposed to during military service. You know, and first thing when something happens, they don't get no attention till they got a bunch of lawyers in there trying to sue, you know, the earplugs, you know, all kind of stuff that we shouldn't have to be suffering from if we had people that lived up to what they promised us from Jump Street for military service. Just do it. You know what they got people in there, they twist it, talk. They you know, why would you put somebody that you know deserve compensation in a non-service connected pension when it's almost 2/3 less? You know, that's criminal. But these are the people that we're electing. I just went to 7 QTCs. 7.
What are QTCs for the people out there?
QTCs are exams that they send you through when you are being diagnosed for a service-connected condition.
Okay.
You know, up until June of this year, I only had one service-connected condition. Well, I had two. I had the shrapnel wounds and PTSD. Now I got heart disease and glaucoma. And as I get older, the virus that caused the heart disease and the glaucoma and all this other stuff in my body is still there, because research has not been undertaken to see how can they get this defoliant out of our system. You know, how can you get it out? They come up with hepatitis C. They did that. They dealing with AIDS. They dealing with all kind of other issues, but no research. Nobody has put any attention into helping veterans that have been exposed to Agent Orange. They just dying, the fastest dying generation of veterans ever. And it's not just those that served in Vietnam, because there are other 40 other locations that they know of that they have not recognized, and veterans are sick and dying from exposure that ain't even been recognized. So we got to put some focus on our votes. Who is making these decisions for us, and how they're making them? Are they making them based on economics, or are they based on care? The decision should be based on care because of the contract that they made with us when we went in the military. But we are allowing them to be made on economics because it's more convenient for the politicians to control the wealth. We need to talk about that today. Keish, let me talk to you about some of this health stuff. I'm all out across the field because I want to be out across the field today. Because I'm kind of edgy. I know I'm going to have a procedure that they used to call it surgery now, but they got all they used to call them surgeries, but they call them procedures now, even though they penetrate your body and they do things in your body that old type surgeries don't. Then the same day you come home. I've had guys die in the VA hospital from infections. They called infections and died while they was in hospitals. And we don't give a lot of news about that because pharmaceuticals and stuff, they keep that kind of stuff down because they don't want everybody talking about the medicine stuff. But we need to, because we're the victims, and we need to understand that these QTCs that I went to was all contracts. Everything was contracted out by VA to contract to private companies that were set up during the Trump administration to privatize government. I always wonder why they want all them billionaires in the government. They want to privatize government so their companies now provide the services that the government used to provide
for years.
Yes. So they got a bottom line consideration for you. It ain't about your care. It's about how much profit they're gonna be able to make off of you. So we got to be very careful, and veterans got to be very informed. So that's why we want to be the voice for veterans in Metro Atlanta, so that they'll know. Now, knowing and acting is two different things. If you are content, if veterans are content with the services they're getting out of their community, especially out of VA and out of government. Now, we recently had some stuff, Tony, with the city of Atlanta. We still going through it because there's still the probability and possibility for them still funding the memorial is still there. The problem that they come up with is that one city council person had some concern about the project, which is okay. You're supposed to have concern. It's a project that's coming through the city government. But now the concern about this particular councilman who has been on city council for several years, and also he's a member of Piedmont Park Conservatory board of directors, which might It sounds a little conflictual, you know, but this is ethics we're talking about, because, you know, we're going to ask the ethics committee to investigate Mr. Alex One to see whether his role on Piedmont Park Conservatory and a project that he's pushing that's in the same area where the memorial is going to be, whether that was his motive, or whether his motive really was what he's stating it is, that it hadn't been approved by the National Park Service. Now, let me tell people what National Park Service is. It is a federal program for funding parks all over the country. And, you know, they actually manage the national parks, and at every national park, a veteran is free to go. That's what the National Park Service feel about veterans. There's no opposition. The approval that the National Park Service gonna give is not one that's not gonna stop the project. It's just want to make sure that the project conform to the culture of the park.
Yeah.
You know, which Mr. Wan could have picked up a phone. Anybody in the administration could have picked up the phone, called National Park Service, and say, well, what do you have to do with the city of Atlanta parks? And they would have just told them, we give y'all grant money, so we want to kind of keep you in conformity with the national standards. So our submission to the National Park Service was approved at every level of review by the city and by the park. Every level of review. I got the documents. It's beautiful. The National Park Service just got the stuff. They're not going to deny it. They, you know, so it shouldn't have been a block for Mr. Warren off of the map. It should have been a concern. If they had a real concern, look into what you're concerned about. Understand the level of your concern. What bothers me is that there is another project developing, just come up in Piedmont Park that Mr. Warren is pushing. That might be in the same area where we have been given land grant. Right. We want to know if there's a conflict of interest here. Mr. Warren need to come to the studio and talk to us. I'm gonna invite him out. I'm calling him out now. I want him to come over here to the studio and talk to our audience, and why we shouldn't file a complaint for him.
When you have a situation like that, if you are aligned with any portion of it, a lot of times you've got to remove yourself from the decision-making process. And this is something, because he is on the board of the Piedmont Park Conservancy, he is aligned with the organization that is making the decision. So as a result, he, as one, in my opinion, of understanding it, he needs to remove himself from the decisions-making process.
And especially when it would go against what Piedmont Park has already decided.
Right.
And what the city has already decided. We don't think that his objections was ethical. I think it was pretextual.
Yeah.
You know, and we need to know.
Yeah.
We just need to know, because we're going to the poll in November, and we're going to start electing people that are going to be truthful to us. Yeah. And that's not going to discriminate against veterans' issues when it come down to taxpayers' money.
Right.
You know, we're not just talking about the service we render now. We're talking about, like, the same way Patrick Henry was talking about when they had the Revolutionary War, taxation without representation. You know, we are not being represented as veterans in that decision. You know, I mean, if it was a conflict, he should have said, wait a minute, I got some issues. Not there's some questions with the project.
Right.
He has some issues because it interfered with his priority.
Right, yes.
This is veterans stuff.
And if he was a part of the decision-making process and had issues, he needs to remove himself from that portion of the decision-making process.
He needs to remove himself.
You know? And he can voice his opinion and attitudes and why. But as far as him making those decisions, that is, in my opinion, conflict of interest.
Now, he said that was his job.
Yeah.
He just said, look, he was doing his job. If that's your job, Mr. Juan, we're going to see whether veterans in your district and veterans in the state of Georgia want you representing them anywhere. We just cannot sit silently by and act like we are slow when you are doing dividend with our government. This is our government. We serve to make sure that you have the freedoms to administer this government, and we pledge allegiance to the flag.
You know, the thing that has me riled up, just a little bit, is the fact that Vietnam veterans returning from war were never really appreciated, honored, or accepted. And so here was an opportunity that we as veterans are trying to establish a simple memorial. There's nothing major, a simple memorial in the major park within our city, so that we can say, we as veterans want you to recognize the fact that this is what we did, and here's an opportunity for you as citizens of this city to honor those veterans that paid the ultimate price for your freedom. And that's all it's not like we're asking for an awful lot and everything. And then to have to deal with someone like this, and in that particular situation, that's the challenge that I have with dealing with him making those decisions and him being on the board. You know, yes.
So
and then we'll get off my load.
No, because Tony, we want veterans to hear what we're saying. We don't want them to think that we just riling up because we had some opposition on the city council to a project that has been in Atlanta city government's radar since 2016 when Councilman Bond had all of us down at City Hall, the big Sons of Atlanta. We was only thinking about the city of Sons of Atlanta at that time. But what happened was when we started talking with Marvin Andrews Jr., he said, "Oh yeah, I like the project, but can we make that kind of wide?" Yeah. We said, "Well, wait a minute, bro. You ain't doing nothing to help us think that we need to use this as a unity, bringing all these 9 cities together." So now we got 9 cities represented, 9 cities in Fulton County that gave their sons to the Vietnam War. We want them recognized in Piedmont Park because it is the most visited park in the city of Atlanta, and all of these cities gonna come down there on Memorial Day from now on. You know, so
and honor their sons.
And honor their sons. And the families will have something that they feel close to. You know, I mean, like Tony was talking about the family reunions, people coming to town, and you know, some of them families gonna come and say, you know, we got a cousin that's on that wall in Piedmont Park. Let's go down to Piedmont Park. You know, why Mr. Wayne can't talk to us about this? Why did he have to wait till the last minute and do an ambush? You know, he could have asked questions. He could have raised his concerns about this project
from day one.
He's
on the board.
He's on the board.
Yes.
He's on the board. But you know, he feel like he could take his position on city government and just block it and not have any kind of responses from veterans and from the community. No way. You know, we not finna sit up and be quiet about how government is functioning, and when we serve to make sure government could function. And it's not functioning right. When we got these people that would get in government and manipulate it for their own selfish perspectives. Tish, I just showed you so. You know, I just gave you the response that we got from our application to Fulton County for funds to help veterans in Fulton County. They gave us 3 reasons that they disqualified the application. And all of them are forms. They had nothing to do with the substance of the program.
And they didn't give you an opportunity to correct any of that. They just rejected it and threw it away.
Threw it away.
Wow.
This is what veterans is up against. You know, it is not. You know, it's not enough to have people to vet the people that we are electing, but we got to vet the people that they are appointing and hiring to administer the government, because they are subject to their biases, and they'll use their biases in ways that, you know, either turn us off, and we just don't make no difference, because they're gonna do what they want to do anyway. You know, but we can't. Veterans can't afford to let them do that, because we are I think the root of support for our government, the U.S. military, is what keep our government together.
Yes.
And when we submit services and come back into the community, and we start having issues in the community like everybody else, homeless veterans is an issue to me. You know, it breaks my heart every time I go downtown in Atlanta and see people homeless, period, under the bridges and tent cities under the bridges. And I think that one of them people could have been the person that drug me back when I got wounded.
Right. Yeah.
You know, this is veterans talk. It ain't nothing but a thing. But we got these problems that we can deal with in the community. But we got to get the profit motive out of it. That money, that $1 million that Marvin Arrington and Pitts stood up there and said that going to be made available for veterans, to veterans in Fulton County, went away when it got into the process. It got into a process that was so bureaucratic and so, let me say, baiting. It baited you out of the process. It made you want to just leave it alone. We're not finna turn like that.
Yeah.
We pay taxes not every day. That money should have went to helping veterans under the bridge.
Absolutely.
That's all we wanted. We wasn't asking them that. We wasn't asking them to just throw the money away. We set out a plan how that we would get veterans. They'll help get veterans their benefits and their medical care from VA, who's supposed to be doing it anyway.
Right.
But if they're not doing it, they're in Fulton County. Fulton County should help. That's what we got the commissioners to say they was going to do. But when it came right down to it,
they dropped the ball.
I'm just talking about what we've been doing, Tony.
Right.
You know what we've been doing. We've been hitting the streets. You know, I mean, even in COVID, we was out there giving out masks. We was out there trying to stay connected to veterans and making sure people understand the plight of veterans in our city is unacceptable. I don't care if it ain't but 200 or 300. That's unacceptable.
Yeah.
Right.
If it's just one,
It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable.
Yeah.
They need to understand that, and we want veterans to understand that why we are here every Saturday is all about veterans. It's all about us. You know, we know. I'm not homeless. I'm not in. I'm not under the bridge, and not in prison anymore either. So I'm gonna be here talking up for those people that are, you know, helping those people that are, because I don't know what happened to the guys that I was fighting with in Vietnam.
right? Yeah.
You know, I don't know what happened to the guys that I served with. I know I came back screwed up. You know, I came back messed up. Just by the grace of God that I was able to get some help.
Yeah.
But some people are not able to get that help.
Right.
And I'm not going to be quiet as long as there is one veteran homeless, one veteran's incarcerated, one veteran going through stuff in the community without help.
Right.
Talk about the ladies. Talk about the ladies.
Well,
We've been monopolizing the show.
well, one thing that I know from my own experience and from the experience of the veteran clients that I do have, is the lack of proper nutrition. And I know we don't want to hear that.
We got to talk about it.
But we have to talk about it because it's killing us, and it's killing us at a very high rate. And I'm sorry that you're going through that, you know, with heart disease, and that's a serious thing. But I don't want it to scare you either. You know, I don't want you to psych yourself out when you go for that procedure. To have a positive mindset, because that is everything too. The way you think, what you eat, what you watch, they all have an impact on your overall health. But us in the military, you know, we're used to going to the chow hall and eating whatever, you know, and not necessarily being conscious of what we're eating. We're eating whatever is offered to us, right? And it might not necessarily be the healthiest thing, but you know, we're hungry and we're gonna eat. But when our lifestyle changes, we're not getting up 5 o'clock running 5 miles anymore.
Right.
We're not as physically active when we're separated from the military, but we still have those eating habits, and we still have that bad nutritional, you know, mindset. And it's really, really important for us to educate ourselves on what we eat and how it's affecting our bodies. And we know the government, again, as we were talking about them putting, you know, people profit over people, you know, and a lot of the things that are in the food are harming and is killing us over because of the profit. You know, they're taking a lot of shortcuts. They're putting things in the food that is cheaper, but it's killing us. And it is causing heart disease. It is causing high blood pressure. It is causing a lot of these, you know, issues. So us as veterans too, I'm really big on letting us, you know, telling us that we have to clean up our diet. You know, we're dying for it. We need to change our lifestyle to heal ourselves. And we do have the power to heal ourselves. And we do have the power to save ourselves. And we're so used to saving everyone else, but we do have to save ourselves. And we do have the power to do that. And it's really all about just what we're eating and being more conscious and mindful of it.
And not only, you know, this is what I like about my crew. You know, you're not just talking about it, you're doing something about it. You're being about it. Because, see, we are leaders in our community. You know, one thing I tell people all the time, one thing you learn when you come out of basic training, if you don't learn nothing else, you know when to lead and when to follow.
Right.
You know when to lead and when to follow. And most of the time a veteran will do that which is necessary.
Right.
Yeah.
And what we trying to get them back on now, we done came out of the military and we get in the house and we sit in the corner.
Yeah.
You know, we got to come out the corner. You know, we got to come out the corner, come into conversation with our loved ones in the household, first of all, then in the community. You know, because we got a lot to share.
That's right.
You know, we have a lot to share. And, you know, one of the things that impressed me about your group, QTCs, I did the package myself. And it works. You know, it works. So I'm excited now, and I thought about this. I kind of got upset because I wanted you to get some of that money so you could give some of them packages out in the community.
Yeah, and you know, this packet, when we looked at this RFP, it was like my organization, it was like we don't even qualify based on
all that stuff.
All that stuff.
All that
it
stuff
was like,
in there. And then we got people on this commission, on this Veteran Empowerment Commission, that didn't come to volunteer. I got to ask the commissioners what criteria they use for selecting the people that they appointed. Because, see, the whole notion of getting this commission up is that we was trying to take the profit business motive out of care for veterans in this kind. You know, and we know that based on our experiences, Tony and I know that we can get volunteers because we are involved in the church where people will volunteer if you give them a reason to. You know, so we were giving people a reason to volunteer, and all of a sudden we got somebody on the commission. Now, hey, I didn't come here to volunteer for Fulton County. You're not volunteering for Fulton County, you're volunteering for veterans.
Veterans, yes.
See, we got too many people in government. In
positions of authority.
In positions of authority.
Yes.
Right.
That don't have any relation, and Tony put the point that just out one time. They can't relate to our experience.
Right.
They had different experiences, and that's what they want to drive. But this is not their truck to drive.
Yeah.
And we got to make sure that this is not your truck, this is mine. You know, this is what we're doing in Fulton County. And we're not going to have anybody come in, and I don't care if you live in Fulton County, and change the focus of this Veterans Service Program.
That's right.
No. Me and Tony, we listen, Tony got his car booted. I'm just tell you. I'm just tell you what we go through. I ain't gonna be lying. I'm gonna tell you what we go through trying to get this stuff done. So they'll know that we fighters. You know, just like Michael said, he with a bunch of guys that don't quit. So all those people out there that don't understand what we're talking about, we're not downing these people. We just know that they don't need to be in the position that they're in with us. Because they're not doing it right. You know, listen. Now, what bothers me, if we got police departments in this country, now I want you to think about this. We've had 2 mass shootings, right? Where the offenders, the corporate was arrested and not killed. We've had 2 traffic violations where the police put bullets in these folks like they was shooting back at them. They wasn't shooting back at them, they were running.
And it was overkill. And it was overkill.
They were running. They were
60,
running.
70 shots, come on.
They were running from the police. They wasn't coming at the police.
So that means your life was not in danger.
Your life was not in danger. Something is wrong with the screening of people that we're hiring in policing.
Absolutely.
Because we got some good police officers.
Yeah.
So I don't want nobody to tell me that I know some good police officers.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not gonna let people label them as uncaring because they
Right.
come out of our community. And Brian, I know you listen, so I'm talking about you. You know, that's my little cousin, but he's a big cousin. I'm little cousin. I saw him at the funeral. I had to look up at him. I forgot how big he was, and then he got a son that's big too. But you know, we got to get people elected. Our votes got to matter.
Yeah.
See, we vote good. I ain't talking about. See, you know, a lot of people got to beef up people to vote. You ain't got to be veterans of the vote. We got to get veterans to focus their votes and stop voting for Republicans or Democrats just because they're Republicans or Democrats.
Right.
Vote for the person that's gonna do the job that you need done in your community, and that gonna be faithful to that. Because see, one of the things that I find out, we can make them lie. Me and Tony, we take pictures with them. So all of them, we go down there. They like taking pictures with veterans. So we take pictures with them, let people know that okay, we been having what you better not use that in no commercial.
And I would even encourage, veterans to go in office and get into those places and spaces for sure, because we need that mindset in there. And I don't want to have to keep voting lesser two evils. Any vote for evil is going to breed evil, right? It's time for some new, fresh people, veterans. We are very skilled and very talented, and we know our stuff.
We know it.
And I would encourage us to go in there.
They are true to their experience.
Right.
That's what. See, they out there. They pledge allegiance to that flag.
Yes.
They know what that military code of conduct meant.
Yeah.
So they bring all of that to service in the government.
Right.
So we got some veterans out there that we need to run for government.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we got some veterans out there that been in government that need to get back in government. I know you listen to me, Tia. That need to get back in government because of the way they served when they was there.
Right.
We got to understand that our government determines how we live every day.
Yeah.
Whether you vote or not, the government determines how you live. I think about Kenny. I passed by his property yesterday, and he done cleaned up the corner. I said, Kenny done cleaned up the corner. I said, because code want him, and the people that want his property are use code to get him.
Oh yeah.
You understand? And then what they're gonna do? Not only that, they're gonna build stuff around his property. They're gonna raise his tax base so high.
Push him out.
They're gonna push him out. See, we got to understand our vote matters.
Right.
Our vote matters. What we got to do is make these people understand we ain't voting for the BS no more.
Right.
We're not just going for the okadoke. We're not going along to get along. We're gonna vote now.
Yeah.
But see, we can now. At one time, you used to be able to get a bunch of signatures and vote and run for office. Right now, they got it fixed so the Democrats and the Republicans got it fixed so if you ain't got no money,
That's it.
you ain't got no chance in politics.
Right.
We need to change that stuff again. See, because some of this money that's coming in, flooding our community, ain't coming from America.
Right.
It ain't coming from America. It's coming from global businessmen that got ideas that they can control our government through buying them, the people that serve them. And they doing it. Development in Atlanta is one of the biggest. I never seen it like this, Tony.
Really? Yes.
You know what I mean? I mean, we talking about all us graded, we babies from it. I ain't never seen the kind of development in Atlanta that I see now. I like it, but I see what it's doing to us.
Yeah.
They got people coming here and buying property. They just buy up all the houses and they raise the rent.
Right.
You know why they able to do it? The people that we elected to government.
Yep.
We done elected the people to government that won't even regulate business. They're supposed to regulate business. The Supreme Court just said that the EPA can't regulate some stuff that need to be regulated that deal with climate control. What they gonna do? They gonna let us burn up? You know, we got to get some politicians, some people elected to our governments, people that's gonna save our government.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, that's not all about the bottom line. See what done happened? We got these foreign influences in our country that done bought up most of the people that's running even on the local level, right? We talking about on local level. This stuff in the city. Now that development in Piedmont Park is big business, Tony.
Yes.
You know, we can't forget that. I mean, what we trying to do, teach in Fulton County with helping veterans, that's big business because a lot of these people getting big money from veterans doing bad.
Doing bad, yeah.
Yeah, they getting big money from veterans doing bad.
Right.
You know, the better we do, the more money they come up with, and they controlling it.
Yeah.
See, they come up with the money, and they get the money, and then they start blaming the patient for being sick.
Yeah.
You know, oh, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. This is Veterans Talk, y'all. We done had a great time, and I hope we got a good conversation going. We're not just talking between ourselves, we're talking to you in the community. We're talking to veterans, and I'm hoping that every veteran will talk to another veteran about what we're talking about. If it don't make sense to you, then we ain't talking to you. Because we just ain't talking to you. We're trying to make sense to people that want to make sense out of this sensitive situation we see in our community today. We don't need no war weapons in the streets. You know, somebody need to say that I don't want my child scared to go to school.
Yeah.
You know, we need to start having sense in government. And we ain't gonna have no sense in government until we be concerned about how we vote, who we vote for, who we are elected. Now, somebody's DUI in government. We got a lot of people driving government drunk. You know, really. I mean, because they done got the idea that that the citizen, that is no longer a government by the people for the people. It's what they say. It's their way or no way. You know, Mitch stopped bills from even going to the floor. How you gonna stop a bill from going to the floor that somebody that you elected try to put there? Come on, folks. Let's get some sense with this. Stop voting for people that's trying to wreck what we serve for. You know, we got people that's racist. That you can't stop them from being racist, but they can't run the government. That's it for today. Next week,
you didn't want to end it. You was gonna keep going.
Next week,
you got a lot on your mind.
Next week, we're gonna be here doing the same thing.
Right.
We're gonna try to get some. We want to raise some funds for these packages that Keish got, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because there's some veterans that I like to see hand them things under the bridge. I mean, because it works, you know, and it's very economical. You know, but it costs to get that stuff made up, so we need to get some funding. So anybody that's interested in making donations, Keish, give them some contact.
Vetsofvirtue.com. Veterans of Virtue. Vets of Virtue. Either one. Yes.
All right. See y'all next week.
Yeah.
Tony, got anything to say?